You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do? Doctor, will it be okay? You got the kind of stuff that makes my day. Doctor on the air, you got me rattled. Doctor on the air, yeah, life's a battle. Doctor on the air.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So while California is pushing an electrical vehicle mandate and getting people to use more of the grid, there have been blackout warnings for 20 million Americans as extreme heat is pushing the power grid to its max. 17 states are placed under power emergency. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, they had to authorize the operators serving parts of 17 states to activate idle power sources just to keep the lights and air conditioning on. According to Daily Mail, this move allows backup plants that are normally switched off to generate extra electricity if surging demands threatens to overwhelm the grid. The emergency order is covering Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, and Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming. They say that the move gives Southwest Power Pool, which oversees the central U.S. grid, permission to deploy backup generators. Daily Mail says it's the final step before a level 3 energy emergency alert, which then would institute rolling blackouts. So the order is going to remain in effect through August 3rd to mitigate the risk of blackouts, according to the Department of Energy. This comes as we're seeing excessive heat warnings, soaring temperatures, oppressive humidity, and this is just increasing our demand for air conditioning, something that the EU has limited in many homes, but not government offices, because of the stress on the power grid. Now, National Weather Service's alerts for this week forecasted temperatures or heat illness indexes above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, with readings reaching 113 to 115 in parts of Louisiana. And then we're seeing 110 degrees across the United States, including Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska. So, meteorologists are saying it's a heat dome that's trapping hot air over a region, that causing temperatures to climb for days. And the U.S. Department of Energy leader, Chris Wright, said that the Trump administration is tapping into abundant supply of unused backup generation to maintain affordable, reliable, and secure power for hardworking American families and businesses. The previous administration's energy subtraction policies weakened the grid, leaving Americans more vulnerable during emergency events. So they believe that what President Trump is doing is, increasing access to power. The problem is people are still stressing the power grid. Department of Energy estimates that more than 35 gigawatts, 1.21 gigawatts, 35 gigawatts of unused backup generation does remain available nationwide. But, some states like California and others will go to rolling blackouts to try to save energy. There was a sudden loss of electricity last week in areas, I believe, in Arizona, Colorado, Montana, Nebraska, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Utah. So how can you save energy? What do we need to do to decrease stress on the grid? Well, you all know how I feel about electric vehicles. They're very, very cool. But to mandate everybody have them, not smart when we don't have enough power. But you do need to, ensure that you are able to not stress your own local grid. And so ways to do that is to adjust your thermostat. They say every degree you raise in winter or lower in summer can save 3 to 5% on your bill. So if you don't need 65 degrees and you can do well in 72 degrees, think about that. Again, check with your medical provider, because with health conditions, sometimes people do need a cooler air temperature in the house. Use fans to circulate air in the summer, ceiling fans to rotate counterclockwise to push cooler air down. Don't forget to close your blinds and curtains during the day, blocking out heat. Caulk and weather strip your windows, your doors, your ducts to prevent drafts. Keep vents clear of obstructions so your HVAC systems run efficiently. This is according to Georgia Power. Georgia Power says to replace incandescent bulbs with Energy Star certified LEDs because they use 75% less energy. They also recommend Energy Star appliances and electronics for lower energy use. Georgia Power also recommends to set your water heater to 120 degrees in unconditioned spaces, and they recommend to wrap the water heaters with an insulated blanket for extra savings. Don't quote me because I don't know much about fire risk, but check with your local health department, local power department, and fire department if that is something that they are okay with. Reduce your laundry and dishwashing energy by washing your loads in cold water. Avoid over drying. If you could use the outside air to dry your clothes, which I'm doing right now, that helps clean the lint trap before each load to improve efficiency. They say to unplug, use smart power strips or unplug electronics when not in use. We have chargers in every room of the house that's just sitting there without a phone on it. And my guess is that's using energy. So keep devices in standby mode, unplugged to avoid phantom loads. Clean your air filters, schedule annual HVAC maintenance according to Georgia Power. Most utility companies will give you bill toolkits. Plus, they have rebates, incentives for free energy audits. That's according to NerdWallet. Hey, if you can make some money, that's great. I don't like the term audit, but I did that with my medical clinic saying, look, what could I do that's more efficient? And they'll teach you and they'll show you. Turn off your lights, take shorter showers, install low flow shower heads. That's what NerdWallet says. I like my showers. I'm probably not going to do that. And then, follow, some of the recommendations where, cook maybe later at night, do your laundry later at night and not during the day when it could heat things up. Try to use some of the fresh air if at night, it's a little cool, and that could help cool the house instead of air conditioning. See what you could do about that. But, it's a dangerous time when we have a heat dome and we have excessive heat warnings, and we can possibly risk blackouts. So be prepared and have a plan on where you could go. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So I got to clean my car. I got to clean out the car. I got to go shopping. I got to clean out the refrigerator again. It's due. I got to do some laundry. I have to wrap baby shower gifts. I have all this stuff I have to do. And I just keep procrastinating and putting it off. I have to renew one of my medical licenses. I have to do some CME. There's all this stuff I need to do. And I need to respond to a court, what's it called? Jury duty. I need to respond to jury duty. There's all these things I need to do. And I just don't want to do them. I'm not depressed. I'm not tired. I'm just unmotivated. Yeah, I'm not motivated. I got all this stuff just to do, and I don't want to get my ass up and do it. And it's not like there's anything, press. I mean, yeah, I'm working and I do a lot of stuff, but I feel like I really don't want to clean out my car. And I know there's some people that hire people and pay people for that. No, I don't do that. I got to buy more cat food. I got to go to Walmart. I don't want to go to Walmart. I hate shopping. I can't stand shopping. I need to buy a dress. Oh, that I think really did it. I have to buy a dress. I got nominated for this Best Influencer Award, Silver State Awards. I'm really, really honored. I just found out about it yesterday. So now I got to buy a dress for the award ceremony. I hate shopping. I mean, I'm really honored that I got nominated, but I don't like I don't like clothes shopping. I can't stand clothes shopping. Can't stand. So, I'm not the only one that feels this way. Okay. We have a pandemic of lack of motivation, and it got worse after COVID. See, you used to have to get your ass up, get dressed, get in the car, go to work, or jump on the train, take the bus, get to work, do what you had to do at work, and then go home. Once we had the option of, we could roll out of bed and go to our computer. We don't have to necessarily get up and go to work. It changed. So a lot of individuals who and we talked about this, how do you get yourself to go back to work if remote work is being canceled? Now that we're 5-6 years away from the COVID lockdown and pandemic. We talked about this last year, so we're at the 5-year mark. Now we're at the 6-year mark. And I told you guys how to do it. You're going to have to retrain your body to get out of the house, to move and do things. And, when I look back at all the stuff I did when I was younger, I remember I needed a new radio for my truck. And so I installed it myself. I learned how to do it. One of my buddies taught me how to do it. And I did it. I needed to change the oil. You got it done. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. My car is telling me to change my engine oil soon. It's been telling me to do that for a week. I don't have time. Yeah, because I got to fly to New York later this week. I just got so much going on. I just don't. And I have the time to do it. I know I have to do some errands today and go grocery shopping and things like that. But but it's like when I look at all the stuff I have to do, no, I'm just going to put it off. I'm going to put it off. And so nobody's really talking about that. How do you get yourself motivated again? Now, what used to work for me was there was always a time crunch. People ask, how did I wait tables in medical school? How did you have the time? Actually, my grades went up. There was a very short period of time where I didn't work. I go to medical school, and it was the first time in 4 years that I wasn't going to work because I'm in medical school. And my very first test score was a biochem test, and I got a D on it. And I'm like, a D? I aced biochem in undergrad. How would I get a D? So I would go to the professor, always go to the professor. I'm like, look, what am I doing wrong? He's like, well, maybe it's all those stupid jokes you're saying in the back of the class. I go, no, because I've always done that. And I've gotten A's. I've made stupid jokes my whole life. It can't be that. So we're kind of head scratching. And he goes, what else is different? What are you doing different? I go, I'm not working. I used to always work. Now, he didn't tell me to go work, so I go get a job because I needed to pay off my truck and give, my brother money for college and things like that. So trust me, we needed the money, but I thought that I couldn't work because I had to study. And so I would get off my shift at 11 p.m. and then I would study for a few hours. Next day, you had to be in class 7, 8 in the morning. I aced my biochem test the next time around. So I guess for me, I needed that time crunch. I needed that pressure. And so I noticed that's what a lot of people are doing. It's not the best way to go. So many individuals, I even see this with some of my family members. I'm like, did you do X, Y, and Z yet? Like, no, I don't have to do that till tomorrow, 5 p.m. And I'm like, well, you knew about this for 2 weeks. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., you're going to have a busy day. You're going to, trust me, I'll get it done because I'm going to panic and stress. And I'm like, no, never put off tomorrow what you can do today. And so we need to retrain ourselves with our thinking. Relying on that stress and that time crunch is not healthy. It is healthier for you to get the task done and then kick back and go, whew, all right, I can just relax and breeze through the rest of the day. So my recommendation is let's look at different ways to get things done. First and foremost, get a buddy. Okay, there's a chance that maybe, you're doing too much. Maybe you have too much to do. I got to do the groceries, got to clean this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And, you can delegate. So delegate. But if the other person's like, but I'm doing this, and you can't delegate. All right. The next thing then what you do is you go, I need someone to motivate me. Now, sometimes what happens is I get more stuff done when I drag somebody with me. I'm like, look, I just can't get myself to go. And so I get somebody else to go, okay, we'll go dress shopping. We'll go drop off the car. We'll go to Walmart. We'll go get this done. So find a motivating buddy. And keep in mind, that motivating buddy may also need you. Yeah, yes, you have to call them a motivating buddy. You have to use that term. Because I can't think of another term. So if that person's like, well, I got to do some shopping. And you're like, well, I don't want you to call me on Wednesday and I'm bugging you on Thursday. So talk to your buddy and go, even if it's a few buddies, go, hey guys, this is the crap I have to do this week. And I got to get this done. What's the stuff that you have to do? All right. Do you want to go together? Knock it out. Another option I've noticed is I enjoy doing other people's chores, but not mine. My husband has found this very odd. I go to another person's house and I am drawn to their sink and I just want to do their dishes. And I love doing the dishes at other people's houses. Yet at my house, I don't do the dishes. I made my husband do them. Why is that? Well, maybe it's because, the family doesn't clean off the dish when they put it in the sink and they leave hard food on there. I don't know what it is. But that's another thing you could do. You could say, hey, look, okay, I need to get some bandages and things like that. You need this done. Can I do your thing and you do mine? You got Venmo. You could send them the money. There's things you can do. I got to pick this person up and I got to do this. Well, why don't you do this? And then I'll do this. And so if you have, and I got to tell you, it's got to be a buddy. If you have a good motivational buddy, you guys could kind of share some of these things. Another thing you need to do also is make the task smaller. We think of our tasks as insurmountable. Okay, I've got to clean the car. So I got to do the dash. I got to do the center console. I have all these gum wrappers. And then if I have a used piece of gum, I find a receipt, a gas receipt to put it into. But then if I didn't completely close and cover it and it's stuck to the side, I got gum stuck to the side. And then you're like, okay, and then, I spilled the Diet Coke and you're looking at, okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to clean the dash today. I'm just going to clean the dash. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to clean the console. Another thing you could do is you could pay your kid to do it. You could pay somebody to do it. You got to mow the lawn. All right. I will pay you to mow the lawn. Then you feel like you really accomplished something because you delegated it. But we have things in life that we have to do that we don't want to do. And we got to find better ways to do it. Another thing that I recommend is rewards. Okay? Let's say you really want to go out for ice cream. Or you want to go to happy hour. And you're really, really excited. You can't go until you finish one of those tasks. And the incentive is you're going to be worried about it when you're out. But you'll feel so much better when it's done. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Well, it's about time. Inc., the source Inc., INC period, Inc., says law schools are considering banning AI in the classroom, and 2 have already done it. UC Berkeley and University of Chicago are banning AI tools and laptops in the classrooms. Why? Because they want to encourage students to think independently and develop problem-solving skills. Now, I'm sure somebody's going to sue, right? Because that's what law students do. But well done. It's about time. They want to focus on critical thinking. They want students to learn how to do logical reasoning, idea generation, decision-making without relying on AI. And these top law schools are starting to move in the right direction. According to Inc., they say a few universities are cracking down not only on AI, but computers in general. They said if you're looking to hire people who can think, you should throw your support towards these schools. Inside Higher Ed reports that law schools such as University of California, Berkeley, said students are prohibited from using AI in conceptualizing, outlining, drafting, revising, translating, or editing any work submitted for credit. I'm loving this. It's about flipping time. And the University of Chicago Law School, I guess, takes a step further and says it will ban laptops, tablets, phones in the classroom for first-year law students beginning this fall as part of a broader strategy of adapting legal education for the AI era. This is fantastic. Now, I'm in medicine. I've been a professor of medicine. I've taught medical students my whole career. And I didn't have AI interfering. What I did start to see are students using these electronic systems where they would put in a symptom and then the computer would tell you what to ask. And I was like, you should know what to ask. You need that in your brain. Don't just rely on the computer. Or they would go to these apps to look at things. And it's interesting because I'm so grateful I learned how to do medicine when I did. Because I have seen some of these apps and some of these programs get it wrong as it pertains to drug interactions, for example. So I remember a patient told me they were on a certain medication and they wanted another medication. And I'm thinking to myself, I think there's an interaction between those two. Somehow, someplace in my brain that was there. Yet I go to one of the apps and it's not on there. But when I look deeper, there it is in the cybersphere going, yes, there's an interaction between the two. Well, you can't trust all these apps. You can't trust AI. And when it comes to medicine, I can't tell you how many times somebody would come in with something completely different than what they said they had. And it took me going, I hear what you're saying. I know you think you have asthma, but I don't think you have asthma. And the person ended up having a tumor on their heart. Or I have bronchitis, and they actually end up having diabetic ketoacidosis. But I'm not saying I'm the best doctor in the world. It's just I was trained I'm not even saying I'm the best doctor in the country or the state, but I was trained to go, you know what? Let me just think laterally for a second here. And so with law, that's what, to me, fascinates me about law. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't, appreciate the fact that somebody could murder somebody and then there's a lawyer finding technicalities to try to get that person off and back out in the streets. That, to me, bothers me. I do agree that there should be a fair justice system. And if somebody is what gets me is, let's say you have evidence, but because the evidence was taken or was like Luigi Mangione, where the backpack was moved 2 feet away and now it doesn't count, that to me is ridiculous. But somebody planting something, there has to be protections for that. But what makes law so fascinating is if somebody says the sky is blue, the lawyer, because of their critical thinking, can say, but is it actually blue? Sometimes the sky is gray. Sometimes the sky is orange. It's not absolute that it's a blue. For the most part on the earth, but if you go outside, the sky right now, is the sky permanent? Is it the sky of today? Are we looking at chronically? What are we looking at? I mean, the way they use the light, it's fascinating thinking, and you have to have one hell of a brain. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are lawyers. I know, we make fun of each other a lot, but I gotta tell you, they're brilliant people. But if you're using computers to figure this out, then how are you doing you can't, in the middle of courtroom, unless maybe that's where law is going, where your AI is going to be listening and they go, ooh, ask about this, ooh, ask about this. Well, then eventually we humans aren't going to be needed. If we're having AI do everything for us, why hire a human? It's cheaper to use the AI. And then you're going to have AI, I guess, computers argue amongst each other. Is that what we're going to be doing? We have to have the ability to learn and think, let me think about this. Let me think about this. Right now, people are regurgitating. Students are regurgitating. The computer says this, so this is what I'm saying. Was the computer right? The computer's always right. Really? What if it's this? What if, and teachers are sometimes afraid to shatter their faith. Imagine a young kid who's been getting everything from the calculator, everything from the computer, and somebody is saying that could be wrong. This is why people are rejecting the misinformation narrative online. Well, one, I rejected it because they were claiming, those of us who were correct about COVID, saying it came from a lab where, the masks are providing only partial protection. They're not providing you full protection, but the vaccine isn't making you completely immune. We were accused of misinformation. So when I hear misinformation, I'm like, okay, well, that's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Right? You guys are manipulating that word for whatever you're using it. But many individuals, they don't want to think that whatever they are looking at or learning is misinformation. That scares them because their whole premise, their whole life is about what they see online. But what's online is fake. Your best friend's picture of herself on the beach, does she really look like that? The filters, the you can now edit out your own pictures on your iPhones. It's all fake. Do I really look like my headshot, my cartoon headshot where it gave me a 15 centimeter waist? No, that's not me. Or 15-inch waist. Yeah, no, that's not me. No, all right? It's a cartoon. So, it was my 4th of July. I caricature I had ChatGPT do. Gave me a nice little waistline. I haven't had a waistline like that for 20 years. The schools need to really rethink what they're doing. People are using AI to cheat. There's programs where you register for a course. You give AI everything. The syllabus, all that. It goes through the syllabus. It takes your notes for you. It takes your tests for you. What are you learning? What's the point? So I think it is going to take these colleges to say no more, no mas. We're going to get no computers, no phones. You actually have to think and actually have to learn. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing so many colleges go away, like Harvard. Harvard is like our kids, our students need to retake remedial math. This is Harvard. I thought every Harvard entering student had calculus 3 as a high schooler. How the hell are remedial math students getting it? Well, it's because they're not learning and they're able to get in somehow. So good for the law school. I think more should be doing it. And we really got to make sure people can think on their own, because eventually we're not going to have computers. Somebody's going to cyber attack us and we're going to be screwed. And then what do? How do we find fuel? How do we feed ourselves? We got to work our brains or we lose it. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
On the Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Medical mishaps are a big concern. We are being told that in some statistics, over 800,000 medical mistakes are being done, causing major patient harm a year. And that is very, very concerning because I work every day to make sure not one single mistake happens. And to think that there's hundreds of thousands being reported that are being done, you wonder how many are not being reported. We talked about that in vitro fertilization mishap where a couple got the wrong embryo. The child was 100% South Asian to the Caucasian couple, and they wanted to keep the baby, but the biological parents are like, but that was our embryo. So apparently they came up with a custody deal and all that. But yeah, the fertility clinic in Florida is closed since then. But you're thinking to yourself, what's going on here? Now here's another issue, or here's another case where Newsweek is reporting a woman got the wrong medical treatment and then has a catastrophic side effect. So TikTok user Katie Shepard explained that she underwent 58 electroconvulsive therapy treatments. She received she ended up then losing her memory. Now, electroconvulsive therapy has actually been very effective in treating drug-resistant depression and PTSD. She said, however, it made her worse. And she's now concerned whether if she was misdiagnosed. She says, I'm 29 years old and I don't have a single memory from before I was 26. She says she doesn't remember world events like 9/11, no memory of COVID. She said she went to a friend's wedding, but didn't remember anybody there. That's kind of frightening. Now, she said, I do want to say that I have friends that have done ECT and it's completely changed their lives and helped them. For me, it just became another traumatic experience and literally erased every memory from my entire life. What was her diagnosis? Well, she says in a follow-up video, her actual diagnosis was bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. But she said that they chose this because they were trying to treat untreatable depression. Now, we have seen ECT work well in people with depression. Many people with bipolar also have depression. People with PTSD also can have depression. So I don't know if she was officially misdiagnosed, because depression could be a part of that. But she feels that the treatment hurt her, and it sounds like it did, especially if she doesn't have memories. In fact, a 2025 study found that many ECT patients do experience some level of long-term memory loss. Newsweek is reporting that they have found an increasing number of Americans under 40 reporting memory loss and struggling with focus. And a patient who has traumatic brain injury, shared their experience, feels they don't feel human anymore because they're forgetting things. And so some people are wondering, is ECT effective because it helps erase memories and helps erase some of the memories? That's not the plan of ECT. ECT is to kind of jumpstart some of the neurons and dopamine and things like that and help brain stimulation. But the erasing of post-traumatic memories might be a unintended consequence, which might help some. But unfortunately, if you had trauma, it'll still affect you. So when you have post-traumatic stress disorder, or if you were traumatized, it might not be a memory that triggers you. It's very interesting. I would never consider myself having the diagnosis of PTSD, even though I had a lot of traumatic things happen to me. But I was in the car, and there was a song that came on. And I can listen to any music. The blues, country, barbershop quartet, classical. I like all music. But I don't know what the song was. And it was a song from decades ago. And it bothered me. And I said, can we turn off the radio? Can we turn it off? And my husband looked at me like, because I've never asked him to do that. And he's like, does that song remind you of your past? I go, I don't have a memory of what that, but for some reason, I don't feel good with that song. And so even if you might not connect the memory, your body has another type of memory. So that is interesting. So these ideas like ketamine and things like that are amnesia causing may help some, but it might not necessarily help everybody. So people are telling her to sue. And again, if she was drug resistant and suicidal and they found that ECT could offer an option and she underwent 58, my guess is they might have moved forward because she felt like it was offering her some help, but then she ends up losing all her memory. I'd like to know a little bit more about how this happened. But the moral I want to make is, whether it's a medical mistake or it's a side effect, there needs to be a lot of education given to the patient. There has to be a lot of discussions. I am noticing that many people feel rushed into making a decision. I'm not saying this is what happened with her. But every time I had surgery, they would very clearly tell me I could die. They're about to roll me into the OR, and I may not be coming out, even though it was an elective surgery. And, then you start to worry, and but they made that clear because my doctors were good. And to do informed consent, you really need to be thorough with that. And you need to explain, look, this is, these are the risks. And there's a lot of risks with any medication you take or any procedure that you do. This is why kids looking at transgender transitioning aren't really capable of giving informed consent, because how do they know what they want in terms of fertility or bone density later, or blood clot risk, or cancer risk, or heart changes in the heart structure? How do they understand that and grasp that? And so as a physician, you can't just use all these fancy terms. You need to explain what could go on and why. And some patients will say there's too many side effects. I don't want the medicine. I don't want to do it. Okay, that's fine. Absolutely fine. That's your decision. But if it's emergent and you have cancer, we do have to give you the benefits and the risks. These are the benefits. These are the risks. My recommendation to you all is be as educated as you can going in. Be careful of misinformation online, but research what it is that you are considering. Research your options. Look and see what other patients have said. I understand that there's a lot of, misinformation on these reviews, like Yelp and things like that. An ex-boyfriend or an ex-wife doesn't like you. They're going to be bad-mouthing you. But if somebody says, look, I had this procedure and this is what happened, and then you hear somebody else say, yes, this is what happened also, you could talk to the medical provider about what's going on. So like with Chantix, Chantix for smoking cessation has a risk of sometimes suicidality. Well, we're thinking one of the, one of the culprits in that, or something that might increase your risk of that, is if you're not using it exactly the way it's supposed to, where you quit smoking 7 days in and you don't go back to nicotine and you use that as opposed to you mixing nicotine with it. And so let the doctor explain what's going on. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
In many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.